Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. We're here. We're talking Greenwood versus Kylian Mbappe. We're going to be chatting about Jose Mourinho. Is he truly finished at the highest level of the game? And also want to have a bit of a chat about next season's Premier League. Who is going to be crown champions in your opinion, and why? And of course, there might be some if, buts, and maybes, but that's the greatest part of football discussions. It's all if, buts, and maybes the majority of the time. We're going to be joined by a few guests on the show as well. But do a bit of admin first of all. Hit the like buttons, hit the share buttons, hit the retweet buttons. Make sure you click on the bell notification button when you subscribe so you're notified when we go live. It's really important for us that you do that. We actually had a super chat before we actually even went live today from Aaron. Aaron, thank you for that early super chat. He said, not on Mbappe's level. You should compare him to Haaland, who is doing bits compared to Greenwood. It's an interesting point you make there, and we're going to go through more of that. Get your super chats in as well. I'll just introduce you to the first couple of members of the panel tonight. We'll see you in a few moments. We've got Lee Chappie in the house. Danny from Devil in the Details is here as well. Boys, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having me on again, Terrace.
Not a problem. Not a problem. So it's a little bit of a like these shows. I kind of like to have a bit of a plan, but it's a loose one. Do you get what I mean? Just you know, I like my plans to be like my women, a little bit loose. Do you know what I mean? So,
no comment.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a TV show named after him. Jeez. Listen, so I want to talk about a few bits and pieces, and I'm sure we're going to get callers on in a little while. They're going to throw bits and pieces in. We're going to talk Jose. We're going to talk the Premier League. I want to start off, though, with Mbappe and Greenwood, because I've tweeted during the last two games, the same tweet, identical tweets, that Kylian Mbappe, Mason Greenwood is better than Kylian Mbappe. It is tongue-in-cheek in the sense of I know it's going to trick. I mean, there's one Arsenal fan who I mute, and I unmuted him today just to see if he responded. And he's so angry that I said it. It's just unbelievable. But Lee Chappie, I'll come to you first as a kind of neutral to this.
Yes.
How good, in your opinion, is Mason Greenwood?
Oh, man. And it's exciting to watch as well. It's just fresh talent, you know, and it's something I don't think Man United would have seen under Jose Mourinho. I think it would have still been 7 hot dogs outside, to be fair, if Jose was still in charge.
Yeah, do you know what? I get where you're coming from when you say that. I think he may have been playing, but he'd be training him to be a left back. You know, that would have kind of been it. Dan, I know the comparisons are out there, but last night globally, Mbappe was trending because Greenwood scored. The articles this morning are no one's claiming he's better. What they're saying is Ollie has found Man United's version of Kylian Mbappe. Do you think is that exaggeration in your eyes?
It's exaggeration. It's not an exaggeration. Look, people are naturally going to talk about Mbappe's, he's won the World Cup, he's won league titles, his goal output, etc., etc. He's 2 years older than Mason Greenwood. He's obviously done a lot more. Mason Greenwood's got a long way to go. For me, it's just about the talent that Greenwood is. Mason Greenwood's just a phenomenal talent. There's just no denying it. One thing I always look for with young players, regardless of the circumstances, I look at what their skill set is and how they apply that skill set. Mason Greenwood as an individual, his ability to shoot accurately and strike the ball with just amazing technique, he does that as an individual effectively. He's just a great finisher, and he's showing that in a Manchester United team that's going through a rebuild. That's what's really most impressive about him. It's not just that he's got great talent, just as an individual, he's showing that regardless of how the team's performing. We forget this guy, I think he's like third top goal scorer in the Europa League. He was 17 years old when the season started. He's 18 now, but he was 17 when the season started. And for me, his composure, his temperament, the fact that he's grown into his body, it's exciting times. And as I said it last night, he's the best 18-year-old that I've seen at Manchester United. I'm 33 years old. So when I was in primary school, it was Ryan Giggs, then Rooney, Ronaldo, etc., etc. We've seen some flops like Januzaj and others, Makeda, lots of players with potential. For me, at 18, I saw someone in the comments yesterday obviously misrepresent what I was saying. At 18 years of age, he's the best. He's better than those players I just mentioned.
Yeah, I seen something earlier on Sky that he's only is it a goal behind George Best at that age?
Yeah. So
That's
in terms
phenomenal.
of
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
so yeah,
Pretty
George
much
Best,
says it all, doesn't it?
I think George Best is at 18, and then you've got Rooney and uh, uh,
Yeah,
Brian
Rooney
Kidd,
and
Rooney and Brian Kidd, who got 17 goals each.
But he's doing it as a squad player, by the way. You know,
Yeah, of course, and he's emerged into it now, and I think that's what's so impressive in this element of I think he's now a first teamer. He's come from that squad side of things, but it's if he scores 3 more goals this season, which is highly likely with the very minimum we're going to have at least there's 4 Prem games, there's at least 1 FA Cup, and there's going to be at least 2 Europa League games because we're through. I know we've got a second leg game to play, but we're 5-0 up, so he's going to have 6 or 7 more games. If he scores 3 goals, he becomes Man United's highest scoring teenager in a single season in our club's history.
that's mad.
And then you look at the company he's keeping. Brian Kidd, the youngsters don't know, Brian Kidd was an absolute stellar player. Rooney and George Best, it's out of this world. And a lot of people are triggered just by the title of this video, just because I put Greenwood versus Mbappe. And I'm one of these, I'm not going to sit here in real terms and say he's better than Kylian Mbappe. But from my point of view, he is our Mbappe. He's Manchester United's version of Mbappe. He is a player that if he keeps working hard and keeps progressing, is going to be worth 150 to 200 million pounds in a couple of years. But he's Manchester born and bred. He's never leaving unless we completely collapse as a football club. He's ours, and it's something to be so excited about. But we haven't got to worry about Real Madrid coming in for him. We haven't got to worry about 5 or 6 clubs going into a bidding war. We haven't got to worry about breaking the bank to bring him to Man United. He's here now. And there's loads of things that people could probably point out and say, oh, Mbappe's better, faster. Mbappe's better at this, better than that. Great. I don't care about that. I just look at the fact that Mason Greenwood is the real deal. He can run, shoot, score, header, dribble. He can use both feet. And every time I listen to pundits talk about him, they all say the same thing. I'm not sure whether he's left-footed or right-footed. I don't really remember hearing that about any other player in my lifetime when it comes to talking for everyone's got a stronger foot. Mason Greenwood hasn't. He's an absolute phenom. And just for a little bit of food for flavor for people that don't want to admit that he is brilliant. Again, you look at what he's doing, and he has to work hard, and he has to keep pushing in the right direction. He has to keep being, doing what he needs to do. But at 18 years old, this is interesting. So someone called me out and said, "Oh, how come you've added 45 games for Mason?" Well, that's also a standout point. At exactly the same age as Mason, Thierry Henry had only played 30 top flight games, like professional games, and had 6 goals. Ronaldo only had 33 and scored 5 goals. Messi had 31 and scored 6. And by the way, this is out of date now because he scored more goals, right?
Yeah, on top of that, starts. He hasn't started as many of those 45 games. He's probably started like 15 or 16. That's just crazy.
Look at the barring. You could argue Thierry Henry obviously started off in France, but look at the teams that Cristiano and Messi were in when they started as well, compared to the way United. It's phenomenal, and whatever way you cut it, he is a phenomenal talent. And I think for me, I want to put pressure on him. And a lot of people think you put pressure on him in case he flops. No, he needs pressure because he needs to know that you don't want him to become a Makeda. You don't want him to become a Danny Welbeck. You don't want him to, be this good now and then not progress and move on. However, what we do need to do is, as long as he works hard and he has the right attitude, if he doesn't quite reach the heights we expect, don't turn on him. That's all I ask of people really when it comes to Mason. I really do. And I'm going to sneeze. I'm very sorry. Sorry.
I don't think
the guys want to do. The one thing you guys don't want to do is let him go to say like Juventus, and then a few years later down the line buy him an extortionate rate. 'Cause you've done it before with Pogba.
That's an anomaly. That's not a regular thing we do.
I know, but it's happened.
It's an anomaly. What I would say is I'm not worried about putting pressure on him at all. I don't think this is one of them situations where we have to sit on the fence and be careful. I mean, Neil Custis, who I'm not a big fan of, he decided to put out a tweet saying he's going to be England's generational talent, be the best player for the next decade. And he says, remember this tweet. People are willing to put their neck on the line because his talent is rare. That goal yesterday, the way he shifted the ball onto his right foot and that strike, the goalkeeper was looking, diving and looking like, oh, it's past me. And there's a consistency with his goals. They go through players' legs and they're incredibly accurate into the corner, or it goes past the keeper before he even knows where it is. Like
Yeah.
his ability to strike the ball, his composure, and he's doing this as an individual. You know, we haven't seen him collect, a great amount, a catalogue of team goals and that type of thing. He's lining defenders up and accurately finishing to a high standard.
He reminds
at
me,
18.
yeah, he's got this mixture about him, Mbappe, almost like he's got a bit of Vardy about him, and I'll tell you why in a moment. And I mean that is just 'cause you're on here, because Vardy's a kind of strike. Vardy.
Are you related to Vardy, by the way, Lee?
Oh, here we
related?
go. I'm reading YouTube. I'm reading your YouTube chats, and it's the every other one something to do with Vardy.
But yeah, so there's an element. Like, look at Vardy. Vardy doesn't have. Vardy he likes to blast the ball. Like a lot of Vardy strikes. I look at it. He likes to. He has to score some great.
He's aggressive. He's an aggressive player. He's an aggressive player.
I like it. I like what he does. I also look at the sort of Van Persies and more so the Ruud van Nistelrooys, who were always Henry as well. Majority of his goals they were delicately placed into unstoppable parts of the goal. By the way, they all scored great strikes and aggressive hits as well. But as a general rule, you find their main catalogue is that. Mason Greenwood is like an embodiment of all of them. He can put the ball into the unreachable areas, but he does it with with such speed and velocity in the strike. It makes it impossible to ever save. And of course, he'll miss chances. You know, the greatest goal scorers of our times, you know, look at Messi's goal conversion rate. It's about 17% in his career, which means if for every 10 shots, he's not even scoring 2. So he's going to miss opportunities, but he's just absolutely phenomenal. And I think a lot more respect needs to be put onto his name. There's a comment here that says, Terry, if he's really good and if he performs in the Euros in 2001, like Mbappe did at the World Cup in 2008, then they can go neck to neck. But Gio, you make a good point. I don't actually want them to. The reason I'm putting them out there today, I'm talking. They're for me. These are the boys. These are the boys who are going to take over from the Ronaldos and the Messis. These are the talent that are going to do that. And you know, I always speak about young players in this way. When you see them come through, I think in 4 or 5 games where they've got the ability to hack it at the highest level. You see little moments from them, if that makes sense. And Greenwood's just done it from day one, like Rooney did, like Ronaldo did, like we're seeing right now with Saka at Arsenal. You can see there's something about them where you're like, yeah, they're cut from the right cloth to work at this level, I think.
You know what's interesting though? So you mentioned Ronaldo and Rooney. So Rooney, we know what Man United fans did to Rooney in the media. Did you got to become a goal scorer? I don't think there's an issue there with Greenwood. We know he's a natural goal scorer. What's even more interesting is that his game, again, he started the season at 17. He's now a first team player in the Manchester United team. And, people say he's a 9, but he's starting from the left and it's not hindering him at all. He's supposed to be a pure striker. And yet he's fluid in his movement. He comes short intelligently. He moves in behind and into the channels intelligently. He interchanges with the forward line with players who are more experienced than him and players that we have made genuine sort of excuses for because of the environment they've been in at Manchester United. I'm talking about Rashford and Martial. Martial defenders always say he doesn't get the service, except who's serving Greenwood? No one's serving him. He's doing his own thing because, again, I said, as an individual talent, I always look at players and say, what can they get out of themselves first? Regardless of the team, chances created, and the environment, what can they do to get the best out of themselves? And Greenwood, for me, again, it's his finishing. His finishing is it's otherworldly. There's no other way to describe it.
It's just another exciting young player, I think, that's going to add to what we're all hoping for, a great England squad for the next tournament. If he does get picked, you've got Tammy Abraham, who's 23, 22, Marcus Rashford, 22 again, 23. The list goes on. You could go on all day. And it's exciting to see, not just as a Man United level, but also as a countryman, England. It's exciting to see. I'm looking forward to the next big tournament.
Another thing as well, Ronaldo at 18 was a winger, traditional winger at that point, just doing what wingers need to do at 18, and that's improve. Ronaldo's ability to go past people wasn't in question. It's, can he produce a finish at the end of going past someone? Can he produce a cross? Can he play the right ball afterwards? You look at Rooney at 18. Rooney was all over the place. He was a second striker. He was chasing back. He was man of the match most weeks. But again, we needed to look at it and say, okay, can he do it in big matches? And can he become a goal scorer? And I don't think... it's very, very early in Greenwood's career, but he's already, again, just what's the most difficult thing to do in football? It's to score goals. And there's no doubt this kid is going to score goals. There's just no doubt about it. He's already doing it. And I'm curious to see with the FA Cup and Europa League and Premier League matches, we can be in for just, what's his goal tally going to be potentially by the end of the season? It could be historic.
It could be. And I think he's also filled out. And I know you've mentioned this a few times on other streams. I was looking back at pictures of him and footage of him from February till now. It's like he's put on half a stone. It's like he's grown. You know when you went on summer holidays?
We've all put on half a stone, pal.
Yeah, but in the wrong areas, bro. But you went on your 6-week summer holidays from school and you come back and there's always a kid or two in a year that had gone from being this height to that height. And you're like, how'd that happen? Like Mason's just grown into himself, which is amazing to see. But also, the modern day game means your wide players they're inverted strikers, essentially inverted forwards. They're not traditional wingers, although they play in those positions. It's why up until Ronaldo started it, and we've seen it more and more with Mo Salah and Mane. Wingers traditionally in the Premier League history, with a good goal scoring return in the season was between 12 and 15. That was looked at as out of this world. So the spectrum, which is why I think it's very unfair to compare a wide player now to one of the 90s, because the expectations and styles were different. They also played 30 yards, 40 yards deeper as a starting role. But where I think Mason's also benefiting is the brilliant tactics and system that Ollie uses, which is the fluid football. And I think there's a lot of people that, again, this is where people want to be negative. It's, if Ollie would have started him sooner in the season, we'd be higher in the league. Mason maybe wasn't ready then. Mason, may have, it's one of those things. Maybe they're not going to reveal it. But maybe there was a bit of confidence in terms of him not fully believing. Maybe there was an element of the doctor saying he's not physically ready yet. We need to put an X amount of weight. I don't know how you measure this stuff because I'm not an expert, but he isn't ready. It's going to take another 6 to 9 months of building him physically. The same thing happened to Ronaldo. Go back and look at Ronaldo's first 2 years at United. He then went away at the end of his second season. He come back the following year and he had all this muscle. He spent the whole 2 months off football training, putting on muscle, working out, and he came back and he was faster, quicker, stronger, wasn't being barged off the ball as much. So maybe that's what Mason's been doing, working on that element of his game. So don't try to attack Ollie because we weren't playing him sooner. Ollie clearly knew what he was doing. And if Mason ends up becoming one of the best players in the world, it's going to be so painful for a lot of these Ollie haters because he's the guy that's developed him. Fergie still gets credited now for Ronaldo. So imagine like that. I mean, that's the one. Imagine you develop England's next generational talent in Ollie. Like that's still a legacy. That's still something you can say. I was the guy that kind of did that. But yeah, I think he's got a long way to go. We've got No Safer who's going to come on as a caller now. No Safer, welcome to the show. What do you want to say?
How is Mason Greenwood any good? Fucking roar! Fuck you, pussy!
Well,
okay.
Okay. You know what? There's some people online that I just don't get. The fact that he's put out time to come on and do that.
This is the best comment that said that was a B-Tech safe.
That's
and if you want to meet Safe's actually on the show now. Safe, welcome to the channel. What do you want to say, mate?
Well, hi guys. First of all, can I speak to what's this person's name on the right hand side?
Lee.
Yeah, the one with the cap. Sorry, what's your name?
Yeah, me.
Me.
Lee. Chappie.
Okay. I just want to say to you that please do not put Greenwood really, really high priority, because if he was born in 1987, I watched Michael Owen playing football, and everyone said Michael Owen is going to become the best striker. After a couple of years, he became a flop. So Greenwood is doing well. He's doing good. Do not rate him too high.
Can you add to that? There's some context you're missing there.
Yeah, there's a bit of a bit harsh on Michael Owen. I think there's some injuries that probably took its toll on his career. For me,
no doubt about it.
I do agree with that, injuries, but they said that he's going to become the best striker. They said that he's going to become the next Rolando of the Brazil player.
Well, you do realize, though, he was one of the best strikers in the world.
I think was at the time.
It's just he just wasn't able to maintain those heights because he got injured. And then some people would argue he got interest outside of football and lost his motivation. Obviously, he went to Real Madrid. That didn't work out. Then he ended up at Newcastle. Apparently, he spent too much time at the racing track, etc., etc. But in reality, it was the injuries that really that was the first step to limiting his ceiling and how long he could maintain being one of the top strikers in the world. But what Owen did in his first 3 seasons as a top striker, like everyone remembers it. When people go through World Cup highlights, Owen's there. so we did make a big impact. But I don't like the direct comparison. I'm just saying, Greenwood, look at his talent, look at what he's doing now, and I'm confident enough to say I've got no doubts. If he stays healthy, obviously, if he gets injured, there's no player that can get injured, have like, a knee injury or, a bad. There's no player who could be injury prone and be the best version of themselves. That's just not possible. But if Greenwood stays healthy, there's no doubt in my mind. Absolutely. I've got no problems saying this live on air right now. He will be one of the best strikers in the world. Not top 5, top 2 or 3 in his prime. No doubt about it.
Thank you, Saif, for coming on, mate. I agree. This is it. I always feel like in life, you don't really, these are things that don't really need to be said. Of course, it's injury pending. These types of things. If something tragic happens to a really talented youngster, that doesn't make your opinion wrong. It's who could foresee that happening? We've got the eye test who's now coming on. Eye test, welcome back to the show. We're talking Mbappe. We're talking Greenwood. What's your thoughts?
Yes. First of all, I want to say that Greenwood for me is, in my opinion, he's the best youngster in the world right now. I don't want to hear about Haaland. I don't want to hear about Vinicius. Whenever this guy has the ball, I always feel like he's going to score. However, when we're comparing him to Kylian Mbappe, that's a different story. You need to remember what Mbappe did at 17. At 17, this guy was knocking out Pep Guardiola's Manchester City in the quarterfinals of the Champions League at 17. At 19, he destroyed Argentina, outshined Lionel Messi in the World Cup, the biggest stage of them all. And then in a final, first teenager to score in a World Cup final since Pele. What this guy did as a teenager, bro, you have to put him down as top 5 teenagers of all time. Pele's number 1, obviously scoring a hat-trick in a World Cup final at 16. But bro, after that, you could argue Mbappe's probably second for what he did as a teenager.
Yeah. And
now at 21, it looks like he's going to win the Champions League now, because they have Atlanta next, yeah, and Atletico Madrid, who I also think they're going to win. So they're definitely going to be in a final. So he could probably win the Champions League as well this season. If he retired right now, bro, he's had a good career. So I think we got Greenwood. I rate him. He's the best teenager in the world right now. Under 20, he's the best teenager in the world for me. But Mbappe is different for me. Like, you can't compare.
You know what you say that eye test. I actually agree with a lot of what you've said there, and it's why I said earlier I make jest for.
I pressed the wrong thing there. Sorry.
I kind of make jest of things in terms of like him being better than Mbappe. I don't actually mean it. It's just to bait people. But what I would say is Mason Greenwood is Man United's Mbappe. He's our version. He may not be as good at this stage. What's really important to remember is not how you start, it's how you finish. And I'm not saying Mbappe isn't going to go on to do brilliant and better things. Sometimes it's a perfect storm. As an example, I mean, if you put Mason Greenwood last summer, you put Mason Greenwood now in last summer's France team, I would back him to do well. Does that make sense? I think that's how good I think Mason Greenwood is. So I always think that needs to be taken into consideration.
I agree with he's our Mbappe, because a lot of people talk about Rashford, Martial, but bro, Greenwood's the real deal, if we're being real. And when people say, well, if we're getting Sancho, I've always said I'm still playing Greenwood on a right wing and I'm playing Sancho on the left. That's what I'm doing. He's the real deal for me. He has to play. We need to get the best out of him.
So you would. A lot of people have said this recently, and people come to me because they know how much I like Rashford. They're like, so if Greenwood's killing it on the right and Sancho comes in and is killing it on the left, what are you going to say if like Rashford gets dropped? And my answer is simple: I'm going to be happy because it means Man United are winning. like I just don't care. I don't support players. I'm not a Man United fan as you are, who has a Paris Saint-Germain player. He's Avatar. I don't care about players enough to support a player like you do. I just can't. It feels weird to me, honestly. It feels like kissing your sister. It is. It's not a normal thing. Honestly, it's.
You ain't kissing my sister, mate.
I'm kissing my sister. Like, I don't have one. That's why I can do that analogy. But it's weird to me. It's weird. Like, I had a friend who stopped supporting Man United when David Beckham left and started supporting Real Madrid. I was like, does that not feel weird? to now suddenly follow a new team. But anyway, I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I think a lot of what you said makes sense. Do I think Greenwood has the ability to become better than Mbappe? That's another conversation. I have a feeling that Greenwood might have a bit more to his game. However, that just becomes opinion based. We'll see by the end of their careers who's won the most, who's scored the most, who's dominated at the highest level the most. It's a debate nobody can win. The one thing for sure is what you've said is right. Right now, there isn't a better teenager in the world. And 6-7 months ago, I would have put Haaland at the top. But I'm looking at Greenwood now. I think he's moving past him because I think he has more to his game.
Different kind of player. Haaland's a proper number 9. You know what? I'm really, really confused as well what people describe as number 9s in 2020. Because for me, like, people say Martial's a proper number 9. He's not. Like, number 9s for me are Vardy's, Van Nistelrooy's, those type of players. So when people say Greenwood's a number 9, Van Nistelrooy couldn't play on the flank and move in and, interchange positions. Number 9s aren't, can't really do that. For me, he's just a forward. He's just a forward who can finish like a number 9. And Itest made some points about what Mbappe's achieved. Again, Mason Greenwood may not have the opportunity to achieve what Mbappe's done because of the team that he's playing in. And also, don't forget that Monaco team had some, had Falcao in his prime, had Mendy, Bernardo Silva, Fabiano, etc., etc. The circumstances dictate what you can achieve in a particular, point in time. But again, I said at the start, I'm just saying his individual talent at 18, his talent level is the same as Mbappe's to me.
That's right.
Ram's on the show. KJ's joined us now. We'll come to the end of this segment. We're going to move on to Jose Mourinho next. We'll keep you boys on if you're about. Just quickly, Ram, I'd love your perspective as a Liverpool fan who have a number of top talented players coming through. Where do you rate in the world right now? Where do you rate Kylian Mbappe? Where do you rate Mason Greenwood? Sorry, they're on both of my brain.
For me, right now, I think he's the best teenager in the world. Honestly, I think I was going to think Haaland, but Haaland he only has one sort of game to him, which is that number 9 role, which Devil in the Details already mentioned. But I think Greenwood has a lot more strings to his bow. I think for me, his ceiling's very high. It is incredibly high. I think he could go up to the very, very top. I think the type of player that he is, I think he's starting to mature, like his body's starting to mature, if you get what I mean. Like at the start of the season, he was a bit lean, but then you started to see the muscle, the bulkiness starting to build, which is a good sign. But yeah, I think for me, it's a no-brainer. I can't think of anyone else, and he's got the game time and goals to prove it as well. So I can't think of anyone else. I think in terms of ceiling-wise, I think compared to everyone else, like the Sakas, the Joneses, the Harvey Elliots, I think the ceilings are quite similar to one another.
Who?
So like Bukayo Saka, Curtis.
Yeah,
Jones.
I know him. Who's the other two?
Phil Jones.
No, Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones.
Who's that?
Liverpool, innit? Some Liverpool you.
That's because I've seen the guy play, and I think his ceiling is just as good as Greenwood, but Green is a little bit ahead of him because he's got the game time, he's got
circumstances, and that's why, like I say to people, it's impossible to keep I look at Phil Foden as an example. Phil Foden is absolutely brilliant, but next year is imperative that he actually gets regular game time, and David Silva isn't replaced with a big purchase, because if he doesn't start getting week in, week out game time, he won't progress at the speed that he needs to.
He isn't a teenager as well, is he? I think he's 20. Yeah,
he's 20. Yeah, but I think he was a teenager. They're in and around the same. When you're young, I think every year seems like a big thing. When you're like 18, 19, how old are you? I'm 20. Oh, I'm 18. Oh, you're a kid. Like when you get to my age, anything younger than 27, you're a baby. Do you get what I mean? It's just you're one big age. You're one big age. Like now, if my friends are all between 35 and 45, we're all the same age now. Essentially, it's you kids that as you get older. We're going to move this on a little bit. I want to talk Jose.
You see how Terrace skipped me for Mason Greenwood because he already knows.
I know what you're going to say. We know the A's are coming out. We know the Avengers are coming.
Oh my!
It's actually going to be serious today, but it's all good. Let's keep it moving.
I can't. We're not a serious channel. We're not like all the corporate-owned YouTube channels that pretend to be like this. We're real. Anyway, swiftly moving on. Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
they were. We had a big debate the other night about him being done and finished. Although that was after Spurs won. They played Bournemouth last night, and I thought were comfortably played off the park. Not a shot on target. Harry Kane looks devoid, looks disenfranchised. I'm going to leave Chappie first on this. In your opinion, is Jose Mourinho completely finished at the elite level of the game?
Yeah, he's got. I think he's got to a point a bit like where Arsenal kind of wanted Wenger out in a way. He seems stale, Stone Age sort of stuff. I've never really highly rated his youth signings and taking on, youth players from academies and stuff. He's always wanted £600 million in his pocket to just go and spend on really established players. I'm just looking at some of the shocking stats. He's lost more than 20 games at Tottenham already. You compare that to like a season at Chelsea when he was at Chelsea. I think he'd only lost something like 6 in 76 fixtures and 2.5 points per game, compared to right now he's at a 1.5 point per game. So his stats are telling everything we all believe in, which is he's dead, he's done, he's finished. I can't imagine he'll be at Spurs much longer, and I don't understand why they got rid of Pochettino, but hey.
I hear that. I test. I know you're a fan of Jose Mourinho. I know you love his style of football. Do you think he's finished?
I've never liked Jose. But for me, Jose, for me, he has to succeed at Tottenham. Because if he doesn't succeed, I don't see any big clubs going for him.
No.
The pressure's on him. Because for me, if he succeeds at Tottenham, he could get another job at Chelsea, Real Madrid, or whatever. But for me, after Tottenham, there's no other team that would hire him except for, I could only imagine him going to Portugal. That's probably the biggest job he will get. And for me, I don't think he will succeed at Tottenham because the way he manages, I think, is very old-fashioned and it doesn't work with the modern-day players. That's why you see a lot of the times with now his dressing rooms are very toxic because he doesn't know how to manage a modern-day player, because I think he knows how to manage certain characters. He knows how to manage certain characters, and for me, the modern day isn't suited for him. So he knows how to manage a Zlatan, a Schneider's, but not.
Yeah, but is it worse than that for me? We've got elite opinions on there who we know is a Shane. You're a Man United fan wearing a Borussia Dortmund shirt. What is going on?
It's for Jadon Sancho, bro. It's
exactly.
Okay. I don't know. I'm getting really you kids. I tell you honestly.
Yo.
To be fair, Terry, I've got a Porto shirt sitting here from the
Champions League. Yes, leave Chappie, bro.
To be fair,
wrong with you people?
That
was more of a fan.
I'd love like a retro AC Milan shirt with Maldini back of it, man.
I would as well, actually.
Yeah.
No, I background on that.
You would see me wearing it though. It was more of a collector's piece for the Champions League debut that we had and all that.
I can't believe it. Anyway, elite opinions. Jose Mourinho, right? We know he's finished at the top. What's your views, man? Like, no one's giving him any love at the minute. He's taking your club down. You can't score goals. You can't get shots on target. Harry Kane just looked like he wants to leave this summer. I think Harry Kane might end up leaving this summer if Jose stays on. Give us your opinions, Elite.
I mean, look, I've never seen a manager come to a club and ruin someone's day a week like this in my life. I mean, I've never ever had someone just ruin my mood in general. Just watching him talk, just watching him in general.
It's just coming back. I'm telling you, my PTSD every time Jose's name is mentioned kicks in. Everything Spurs are saying is what we experienced.
Like for years, I laughed at United fans just the way they look, the pressing, and just now I'm realizing how much it hurts, man. It just hurts. He's just playing. He's not even playing defensive football at this point. He's just saying, "Do what you want," and I don't know what to do at this point.
Shane, what do you think? Obviously, you're a United fan, although I am questioning that today. You had to endure two and a half years of Jose Mourinho. Are you seeing the same bad tactics, toxic, horrible man? Not as in like as a manager, not as a person, that we saw at Manchester United.
Yeah, I think Mourinho's football is out of date. Like with the way that the game's progressing, his football is out of date. and he can't handle the big players anymore. Like, look, if Mourinho can't handle a player, he usually just neglects them, like he did with Pogba, like he's doing with Ndombele. So for me, Mourinho's done at the top level.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. What Devil and Danny? What's done this to Jose, in your opinion? Is it just father time catching up with him? Is it psychological damage of being undermined at a few clubs, or is it just past his pomp? What is it?
So many different reasons. Jose Mourinho is like a prestigious hoe who's used to dating millionaires and can't go backwards in lifestyle. That's what Jose Mourinho is basically like. He can't go backwards in lifestyle. Listen, he's still an intelligent tactician. If you gave Jose Mourinho the best team in the world, he succeed with the best players. What Jose Mourinho can't do is he doesn't have better ideas than Pep. He doesn't have better ideas than Klopp. He's not. You know, when he first burst onto the scene, I've said this before, that Chelsea team that he had in 04-05, they elevated the standard of the Premier League tactically. That's how he emerged. But football moves on. Better ideas come along. Everybody just steals from everyone. You look at Sheffield United. They're playing triangles and overloading and switching the play. Sheffield United, if you told me 15 years ago Sheffield United would be playing that type of football, I'd be like, what are you talking about? If you told me it would be a British coach coming up with an idea to play with a back three and have a centre back stepping up and playing as a playmaker, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Football's just moved on. This happens to all the top managers. LVG was, a top manager back in the day. Still a great tactician, but better people come along with better ideas. They know all of your ideas. They research you. They know when Jose Mourinho sets up, everybody knows exactly how Jose Mourinho wants to play. There's every now and again, he comes up with a gimmick, like having Ander Herrera mark Eden Hazard for 90 minutes off the ball and just completely just do away with his, compromise his entire formation for little gimmicks like that. And again, the man management, we've said this before, if challenging somebody doesn't get the best out of them, why do you keep confronting them? If I confront this guy, he goes into his shell. Mourinho will just keep confronting that player. He just doesn't have any nuance to the way that he manages. So it's just he ticks too many boxes. There's so many issues with the man. And you said it before, what happened at Real Madrid, it kind of broke him. He seemed to go, we forget this guy poked a Barcelona coach in the eye. Where are you at mentally when you're on this? There's cameras everywhere. And you poke somebody in the eye.
Just to add on Danny's point, is he tried to play mind games with Pep Guardiola and he got a proper battering from him. And like Pep Guardiola didn't
you ran Pep out of town.
Wait, what? The only one.
But you know what? Actually, Rams makes a good point about the mind games. Remember when Jose Mourinho used to galvanize his team by attacking everybody on the outside? He's flipped it. Now he attacks people from within. Yeah. He didn't used to do that before. And it's the experience at Real Madrid. I just want to tell this story very quickly. There's two things that happened at Real Madrid that were quite funny, that never happened to him before. One, Cristiano Ronaldo in games would blatantly encourage the team to ignore his tactics, to sit in a low block. Ronaldo waved the team forward and told them to press high and attack. And I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently Sergio Ramos made some changes on the corner. Mourinho weren't happy, challenged him, and Sergio Ramos point blank told him to his face, if you play the game at this level, you'd understand why I made these changes. He'd never experienced that before. At Porto, he was the top dog. At Chelsea, he had guys that would die for him. He had warriors at Inter Milan. He had Samuel Eto'o playing as a right back, and Eto'o was happy to do it. All that charisma, that ability he had to galvanize players, it's gone. He's flipped it around. Instead of attacking people on the outside, he just attacks from within. And he's the cancer. He's actually the cancer.
Hey, Jose, the problem with Jose as well now is that it's a pattern. It's no longer you can blame it on one player and that you didn't get along with him. It's a genuine pattern. You see it happening time and time again. And Jose is now literally the definition of insanity, which is where you try the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result. He's insane now. Like it's just what it is, and it's as much as I banter him saying he's a fraud. And someone told me to United Extra Time told me to tell Elite Opinions Jose is a gravedigger, which he is. Like it's sad to see because you don't want to see top managers go out like this, and he's turned into that grumpy old man, that old war veteran that keeps telling war stories about what they did in the past when the future is here and you're behind. Like,
Yeah, I think,
I
you know,
gotta shoot that. Sorry.
all right, then, mate. I'll chat to you soon, mate.
I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him continue managing past 2020, 2022.
Do you know what I think?
If he hit 60 or 70.
What I always see with this sort of stuff as well is, you know, when you ever watch a film and you get that, whether it be the king or the sort of leader of the mob, they become old and paranoid, and they end up turning on the people that really have their backs, and befriending the people that are really not worth being around. And we as the viewers can see it coming because we know all the side stories, and they can't. I feel like that with Jose. I just feel like he's become paranoid and old and not fresh anymore. And the great thing about all of this is that it just proves how great Sir Alex was to go from the late 70s as a manager right through until 2013 and be able to adapt and change and never be found out, and also be able to adapt with the change in social construct and the way you handle players. You know, the way he spoke to players probably in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s was very different to what he had to do in the noughties and in sort of 2013, 2012, 2013, etc. So I think it just demonstrates again that what Fergie did was so abnormal to remain at the highest level for a long time. And I think whenever we see these other great managers, you see the Jose's, you've got the Peps, you've got Klopp who's doing it now. These guys are all in their 50s and we're like, oh yeah, they're going to be like the next Fergies. No, they're not. Like, it's so hard to state that what these guys do better now than Fergie did, because Fergie was of that generation of managers where the idea was you stay there for as long as possible. The idea is you stay at a club forever when you're there, unless if you're at the biggest clubs, you're meant to go in and stay there. The difference is now they go in and they win everything in a very intense way very quickly, and then they generally have to move on because I think they burn themselves out. And I look at Klopp as an example. Klopp, I think he'll do another 2 or 3 years at Liverpool. I think he might. I think he might retire after that.
No, if you look at Sir Alex, if you look at Sir Alex and his tenure at United, he also changed his backroom staff. Whenever it's time to change style, whenever it's time to change the way of playing, he changed the backroom staff. And you saw with Jose, he kept Rui Faria for years and years and years, which is fine. But then as soon as Rui Faria left United, boom, the defense shambles. And now he's not got no Rui Faria, and he's just looking peak. He's tried to bring in, I think, some coaches from Lille this season or when he joined, and it just hasn't worked.
It's Rui Ferret. He was on my old clients. I know him. I know Rui.
Sorry.
It's like Klopp when he was in 2018. He lost Selko Buvac, but then we ended up getting Pep Linders in the end, who's actually made us even better. It's all sort of like Jose hasn't addressed that situation. I don't know who's
he got rid of Rui Faria, made it even worse.
But what's he gonna do? He's not exactly gonna go and get somebody like an Arteta that wants to play progressive football. That's not what Jose Mourinho needs.
No, that's why he brought in that Lille guy, because apparently he was supposed to be an attacking, progressive guy, but he just hasn't seen.
Yeah, but when you want your team to sit in a low block at home, and stay compact and come on, it's 2020. Everybody is playing progressive football in 2020. Even you look at Burnley, right? Burnley do, KJ, I think you mentioned them the other day, the way they play. They press high up the pitch. They go for you. They hit long balls, but at least they're pressing high up the pitch. At least they're trying to be aggressive. Mourinho's team, I'm looking at Son. Son's one player that I admire a lot. And as an individual, he's one of those players as an individual at Tottenham under Poch. When the going went tough, Son always seemed to be a player that can get the best out of himself. Yeah. I saw him come on the other day, lose the ball and not track back. And I was just like, is that because of Jose? He's usually a guy that's at it. Like, what's going on there? But look, I had a negative impact on all the players there.
Here is that Jose. Does anyone want to defend Jose and think that he's still got it?
No, I think honestly, I don't think he's finished to the point where he can't even manage another team again. If he goes to a PSG or somewhere where he knows his squad can be built for him, or a Portugal where he doesn't have that much expectation.
You know what? He goes PSG. I'm not being funny. I think if David Moyes took over PSG, he'd win the league.
Nah. Yo, Terry, you could go there and win the league, fam.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though.
I know that. No.
Mourinho's still a good tactician. He's still an intelligent tactician. If you gave him world-class players from top to bottom, he'd compete. But he can't overcome the odds like he did with Porto. He can't overcome the odds. Rafa Benitez did this with Valencia and Liverpool. He overcame the odds and had success. Mourinho can't do that. And look where Benitez is now.
If you give him an unlimited budget and give him the freedom to do whatever he wants, I think he'll win the Champions League and whatever league title he wants.
I don't say I don't think so.
Yeah, he
I don't
could
think
do
so.
that, but it's all about the long-term situation. Like, sure,
The
gets trophies, but long-term, with
But
the
no one's
kind of
long-term
players
now.
that there are, and his style of man management, it won't work out.
The reason why
crash
I
and burn
say
in
even
3
if you
years,
give Jose
Yeah.
a top, even if you give Jose a top budget and get whatever he's want, the reason why I say it wouldn't work is because the age of footballer that he's used to working with are now slowly dying out the game. So even if you gave him all this money, he's still going to be trying to buy the 28-year-olds, the 25-year-olds, the 24-year-olds to fulfill that role that he got in out of his old teams. But they are still new young footballers. They're still the modern type of footballer that doesn't respond to his style of management. So even if you gave him all this money, the type of footballers out there aren't like they used to be, and that's just football. And that's why I don't think that's why you can't have a big budget. It doesn't matter. I think
At
PSG,
Mourinho.
like Mourinho would fall out with Neymar. There's no way he'd succeed at PSG. He'd cause havoc over there. He'd be fine at Atletico Madrid because they're used to, they're used to dinosaur football that Simeone plays. But that's about it. Everyone else is playing progressive football in 2020.
So
I think that's the problem with Mourinho.
Go on, Simon.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with Mourinho. He's brilliant tactics, like everybody has said, but I just think the way that he plays is really outdated. He seems to play a lot of defensive football, where a lot of teams now play more attacking football. I'm in a couple of groups on Facebook with a few friends, and they say exactly about the Mbappe and Greenwood situation, which we had earlier. With Mourinho, you're really seeing it at Spurs, where David Levy is very, very tight on the purse strings. Where with Roman Abramovich, when he first came in, he gave him the money to buy the players that he wanted, and he did that where David Levy won't give him that money. So I think he's very, very limited at Tottenham. That's why I was worried. That's why I was really actually surprised that they got rid of Poch, because Poch was doing really well. He plays very good brand of football. He'd had a run of bad results. They got rid of him and they brought Mourinho in, and I knew straight away that Spurs weren't going to do anything.
On the contrary, Simon, I can see why they did it. I don't think it personally was the right decision, but I could see why. I think the team was sort of like, how do you say it? They were depleted.
It was dying down.
They were jaded and everything.
Yeah.
The problem is that they didn't find someone that had a similar type of footballing brain or footballing IQ, like not footballing style, like Mauricio Pochettino. If they found someone like I don't know, like Nagelsmann or Ten Hag, then it would have worked out. But you going from one extreme to another extreme, it won't work.
I get that, boys. We're gonna move this on because I want to talk about next season's Premier League. Although this one's still got to be concluded, I feel like next year is going to be close. It's going to be emotional. I want to show you all something again. The world is rattled when it comes to Man United. This is the thing that Goal have released today about Bruno. They've changed his name. He's now, according to Penandez, of him diving, winning penalties. Like, how many times have you seen animations made about players that have dived in the Premier League, like Mo Salah, like Mane, and these man? Like, it never happened. This is how rattled they are. It actually looks like Bruno Fernandes quite a lot, But they're rattled. The world is rattled. Chelsea are doing bits. Chelsea are doing absolute bits as well.
Yeah.
I want to gauge your opinions. I'm going to start with Monster CFC on this. In your opinion, who's going to win? And if you think it's the way I want you to look at this is not right now. If a team has their successful summer as well, who's winning the Premier League next year?
If I'm being honest and not being biased, I think it's going to be Man City. Honestly speaking,
why Man City?
I'm just, do you know what? I just feel like they can always, even though they've they made mistakes this season, but I just feel like they're one centre back away and they're going to sign. So I feel like they're going to be the one to get Koulibaly, and then they're going to be scary again. I don't see anyone stopping them.
That's interesting. Ram, I mean, you're a Liverpool fan. We've already seen you in recent weeks be absolutely shook on here about defending your title. It's like it's like Liverpool fans like you, not all Liverpool fans, seem actually more upset that you've won it than before you won. It was like, it was nice when you were chasing it, but now you've got it. It's a bit like a dog. I'm going to quote here Batman, Dark Knight. It's like you're a dog chasing a car, but now you've caught the car, you don't know what to do with it. Like, that's how I feel. I mean, how confident are you of retaining your title next year? What about City? What about Chelsea? Dare I say, what about the might and the power of Tottenham? Not Tottenham. United. Ram, who's winning the Premier League next year and why?
So, on your basis of a successful summer, I think I'm going to back Liverpool. Honestly.
Oh, jeez.
He says think. He says think. There's no confidence, no conviction.
It's a successful summer. It's a successful summer.
He doesn't believe himself.
We will possibly be getting Thiago Alcantara or somebody else as well alongside him. So if that happens, then I'm gonna be confident that we will be able to retain the title. I think we've got one of the best managers in the world and one of the best players in the world as well. So if we just add upon this squad and add on our squad depth as well, I don't see anyone else taking the title away from us.
That's fair. Anyone want to challenge it? Anyone who thinks that Liverpool are not going to retain it?
They're not retaining it.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they are.
I don't think they will.
They're not retaining it.
No. Rams. Who wants to challenge Liverpool? Who thinks Liverpool, point blank, no matter what they do, are not going to do it?
They're not winning a
I'll do
trophy
it.
next season.
No.
Yo, eye test, give it to him. Eye test, give it to him.
Go on, mate. Eye test. You go away. Go on, bro.
For me, United will win it depending on the transfer window. Because a lot of people are talking about Sancho. I think I would get Sancho 100%, yeah. But the United's attack is looking cold right now. So I think what's more important is a centre back. I think if we get Sancho, yeah, we probably won't win the league. But if we get Koulibaly, yeah, we have a sick attack, a solid attack, and we have a solid defense. I think if we get a big defender, we're winning the league. United are winning the league, I think.
I really support that propaganda. It's propaganda time. I'm supporting that propaganda.
I support it too. Always
100%. Look, Liverpool will be favourites next season. There's no doubt about that. But the leapfrog, all you United haters, all you people out there that are like United fans are jumping the gun. If United have a good summer, which is Sancho, a defensive midfielder, and a centre back, we can win the title next season. Make no mistake about that. Because that team, one of the things that with Liverpool that I'm looking out for, how long can that front three play the way Klopp wants them to play and stay healthy, even with no African Cup of Nations, whatever. I just think that it's very, very difficult to go 3 seasons in the Premier League playing that style of football and maintaining that standard. We see what happens when you get into that 3rd season of a high standard. We saw it with City this season. I think people have said it's because they lost company and Fernandinho went to centre back. It's because of Pep's style as well. To play that type of football for 3 years in a row and maintain that high standard is very, very difficult. If United sign Sancho, a DM, and a centre back, we will be in that title race with 2-3 games to go. And in that situation, I'd back us to win it. Because our front three, like Liverpool's front three, is just going to maintain. Our front three is just going to keep getting better. So I'm back in Manchester United. I'm all for the propaganda.
The thing with Man United.
Do you think if we sign them players, do you think we're going to sign them players?
No.
Do you know what? I think people will be surprised actually. Just have Terry's a finance man, so he can do the numbers for me and save me here. Hopefully.
Man United's not getting a DM. They're not getting a DM.
Can't afford a
So
DM.
when you look at what United have lost because of COVID, but then you take into the account we didn't have Champions League football this season. If we get Champions League football this season and we can offload the Rojos, the Matters, because of their wages are going to go up by 25%, by the way, if we get Champions League football. So it's imperative that Lingard, Pereira, Juan Mata, Marcus Rojo, Phil Jones included, if all of these guys go, we can sign we can make 3 big signings this summer. No
Is
doubt
Alexis
about it.
Sanchez still there?
Yeah, he is.
No,
He's going back on loan. He's going back on loan.
Yeah, he'll be out. And
Terry, could you just highlight My G's the YouTuber called My G? He commented right there.
The super chat.
Just as 2-footed as Greenwood.
Yeah, he is.
Who said he wasn't?
Okay.
Cool.
Hang on.
Who said he wasn't?
What's your point?
Wait, what?
Son hasn't just turned 18 years old. I'm doing it. That's oh my god, it's mad. It's like going, no, Greenwood's not that great. You know, Messi scored double the goals of him this season.
The problem with I see with United is that your squad depth isn't incredible.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Compared to Liverpool, City.
Come from Liverpool.
No. See, that's a load of
you got to remember.
This is what I was saying before. The Liverpool front three stay healthy. You haven't had your squad depth. You've tested your squad depth in the best circumstances. When we feel like it, we will rest Mane and play a player. When we feel like it, we'll rest Salah. When we feel like it, we'll rest. No. Proper squad depth is tested when you don't expect players to get injured. If you lose two of your front, if Firmino and Mane are out for 12 to 15 matches, who's gonna Shaqiri? Who's your striker? Origi? Who is it? Sorry, whatever his name is, not Shaqiri. Whatever his name is. Origi. Who's the left-footed guy they got from Stoke or whatever? Is he still there? No. Shaqiri. Yeah, exactly. So. Your squad depth hasn't been truly tested. As a United fan, growing up with Sir Alex Ferguson, I've got the blueprint for how squad depth is truly tested.
I get it, but
you get what I mean?
But if you compare it with ours to yours, it's like
I'm not being funny, but I'm taking our backup. Listen, if again, it's saying in the summer if we get who we want to get. Apparently, you guys, your front line is so good, you don't want to buy anybody. You didn't want Werner for 50 million. So if you have your good summer, you're going to get a better midfielder. So you're going to sacrifice two workhorses for a more intelligent midfielder in Thiago, who will, he can press, but he'll do it with intelligence. And I don't know what you're going to do at the back, but Man United summer, basically you have to maintain. United are trying to reach a ceiling. There's a big difference.
Ramsey's rattled.
But I make Ram right in the sense of the strength of depth isn't there. But like I said, this is the point. This is ideal scenarios here. Like, Man United have a brilliant transfer window. I think we can challenge for a title next year, and you never know what a brilliant transfer window is going to look like. In the sense of this January transfer window, we only signed one player, but it's the best window we've had in terms of the one player that came in Bruno has elevated our team. If we sign 2 players, 3 players in this window, and they all have half the impact on the team that AWB and Bruno have had, say, collectively, that elevates us to another level again. And right now, over the last 16 games, there isn't a Premier League team in the country that's done better than us. And that's a cast iron fact. And by the way, hasn't just been Brighton's and Sheffield United's that Man United have beaten in that time. We've beaten Chelsea at their ground. We've beaten City in that time. So there's been some big results. And it's the same as Chelsea. And I want to go to the Chelsea boys on this because I feel Chelsea are in the same position as Man United. If the rest of this window goes well for them, I think Chelsea can do some bits next year.
Yeah.
All right, I look at it. What Rams is saying about United squad depth not being that good. As it stands now, that is true. But I'd say United squad depth is better than Liverpool's right now. And United will spend in this.
I don't know about
it's not bad.
On paper.
Wait, hold on. Who are your backup players? Because I remember when you guys got Shaqiri from Stoke, people were telling me that Shaqiri would come in and will add that creativity to that midfield. He didn't do that. Lallana gets injured all the time. Often, Naby Keita barely play because they're always injured. Whereas,
Ox's injury hasn't been that bad.
I would take Gallo's fam. I would take Gallo over Origi fam.
Ram. Yeah. Would you say that Klopp and his medical team have done a fantastic job keeping your best players fit over 2 seasons?
100%.
Yes, and it will be a challenge, definitely. And it will be a challenge to do the same thing next season. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, of course.
That's the glimmer for anybody. Look, I think Liverpool are favourites next season. Obviously, I'm not an idiot. I know that's the fact. But the glimmer is you guys have to maintain. People are going to chase you, but your squad depth isn't. I mean, if Van Dijk gets injured, we know what your back four looks like. If Van Dijk gets injured, even with Gomez, we know what that looks like.
The reason why I don't think
so. When you say your squad depth hasn't truly been tested. Like when United were winning titles and winning Champions Leagues, this is what I'm talking about, proper tests. Like when we beat Barcelona 1-0 we drew 0-0 at the new camp with Barcelona, and we came back for the following fixture at Old Trafford. Vidic was injured. Real had to lead that back four, and he done it. It's those little tests you guys haven't gone through yet. What are you going to do in big situations when Mane and Salah might be injured or someone suspended?
VVD.
But they did do that against Barcelona. I think Origi. Who was Origi playing for Barcelona? Exactly. So
Barcelona for the past 2 seasons have been bombs. That doesn't This isn't the Barcelona of old. Barcelona past season have been bombs.
I'd say that Liverpool certainly done it in one-off games. I think the point is, if they lost, you lost Van Dijk. But I know that you did have your goalie out for a while this season. That is granted. But the rest of the outfield team was still together. If Liverpool were to lose Van Dijk for 3 months and Mo Salah for 3 months, either at the same time or back to back, it would have a huge impact, because I don't think the Rock Origi, I don't think you're back up to, I don't think Matip and Joe Gomez as a combination solid for 3 months could cope with that. Doesn't mean you won't win the league, by the way. It means I think you'll drop more points and people get closer to you. I just feel like with Liverpool, what you did this year was amazing, and it should be celebrated and it should be congratulated. The points you're going to get, it's an absolute, but it's almost, there's an element of some of the games you ground out that went your way. You deserved, and nobody says you didn't. This time next year, that could go the other way around. You look at City. There was 3 or 4 games this season where City, they lost, but seasons prior they were nicking them as wins, as an example. And sometimes it's a bit of luck. Sometimes it's just a few injuries, and other times it just doesn't quite work for you. I think what's imperative for Liverpool to win the league next year is they have to buy players. If Liverpool don't sign anybody substantial, then they're not.
Then the next question is be asked.
League next year.
And that's why I think
if you bring in a Thiago, if you bring in a replacement, like a good quality, like if you brought in a Nathan Ake as a replacement for Lovren.
Oh my god, this Nathan Ake hype.
I'm serious. Like that's he's better than Lovren.
He's a baller though, man. Right?
Better than Lovren. Nathan Ake is better than Lovren. If you brought
anyone's better than Lovren. Honestly, anyone.
Exactly, and that's the point.
Well, can I say, yeah?
Of course.
If I'm gonna make a point, I know I'm not a City fan. Obviously, I'm a Chelsea fan. But if City's ban upholds, what do you think is gonna happen then?
Well, that was the next point. I think City again are second favourites next year in front of Chelsea. So the way I look at it is this: Liverpool are favourites. Even if they don't sign anybody, they have to be down as favourites. None of this underdog nonsense. They're champions. City is second favourites now. But if the ban happens, we're finding out Monday. It's peak. For me, they will lose a couple of top players. They will be able to sign people because they'll go big. But I just think, it's an interesting thing.
They'll focus more on the league.
Fall apart, or the fact that they don't have any European football can make them an absolute danger.
I think it'll make them a danger.
Sorry. Could you highlight Alex Reed's point? Because if we sign this guy, then I think
Leon Bailey.
Yeah.
You think so?
All right, man. He's a bit inconsistent.
You think so? I was just going to say the same thing.
As backup to Mane.
But I don't think Leon Bailey wants. This is where I think Liverpool fans are getting ahead of themselves. Leon Bailey isn't going to go somewhere to be a backup behind Mo Salah for 3 or 4 years. Leon Bailey's too talented to do that. Leon Bailey is going to go to a club where he's going to be a first teamer. Leon Bailey's
going to cost a lot of money as well, because we almost bought him last season, but they were demanding so much. So he's not.
Leon Bailey is one of them popular. He's one of them.
He's the crown of Jamaica, fam.
Okay, I take it. Look, what I would say is he hasn't been consistent. Like in the Bundesliga, if you look at the Bundesliga, the players that come from there, they put together.
Elite opinions. Who's not overrated to you, bro? Because I swear every player's overrated.
Apparently, Harry Wicks is underrated.
Every player's overrated.
Harry Wicks is underrated.
Yes.
Oh, I told you, and I'll say it again. When you look in the dictionary for Tom, you look for Henderson.
That's a good point.
I hope they sign Bailey. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? The only way Bailey is going to stop himself being inconsistent is by playing regularly.
Yeah.
Him knowing himself if he's being inconsistent, I think it would be a terrible move for him to go to Liverpool. And that isn't because Klopp isn't a good manager. It isn't because Liverpool aren't the best team on the planet right now. It's the fact that you're not getting it. There's no player who plays on the right-hand side of the attack other than Mason Greenwood and Kylian Mbappe that would get into a team in front of Mo Salah.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry,
go on.
also a question.
Just want to ask. Oh, go.
Does Leon Bailey not play for Bayern Leverkusen?
Yeah, he does.
Is he not one of their best players?
He's second best.
Doesn't start regularly for them.
Well, if Havertz goes to Chelsea, Leon Bailey, Havertz, Bayern Leverkusen are not going to want to lose Leon Bailey unless it's for a lot of money, which Liverpool clearly don't have.
That's what I was saying.
Wait,
Yeah.
one sec, guys.
Can I ask Graham a question? So, like,
Yeah.
as a Liverpool fan, are you opposed to signing a player that will challenge your front three?
Yes, I am. I want it.
I wouldn't say he has to directly. I think
No, not Bailey. I'm just saying in general. Not Bailey. I'm just saying in general. Are you opposed to Liverpool signing a world-class player to challenge Mane, Firmino, and Salah?
I think in terms. Allow I think yes, I do oppose it a little bit. I think we should sign a top quality player, but not someone that is world class, because we want to keep the morale in the team, moral dynamics a little bit balanced. If you get,
but they're top players. They should listen. We bought Berbatov. We had Rooney, Ronaldo, and Tevez, and bought Berbatov. You're supposed to go overboard. You're not. I don't understand Liverpool fans. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
You know what's another point that shows me that Liverpool won't win the league?
Sorry. Go on. Ask that question again.
You know what's another point that?
Go on.
Sorry. You know what's another point that shows me Liverpool won't win the league? After they were confirmed to be champions, you guys played Man City, and you guys got spanked off the park. Man
City lost 1-0 against Southampton.
I don't care. I don't want to hear this business of we're already champions. That it doesn't matter. You got beaten off the park by Man City.
Man City lost 1-0 against Southampton. With
you lost 4-0 to Man City. So what does that mean then?
Because we were.
I don't care. This would never have happened to any of Ferguson's Man United teams. It would not have happened to.
Oh my God!
You've got to look at them.
Also, a point that I want to bring up is you guys didn't compete in any of the other cup competitions. You got knocked out by Atletico in the last 16. You didn't get to you're not in the FA Cup semi-finals.
Facts. Nor the league.
You played your U team in the Carabao Cup semi-finals. You wanted to win the FIFA World Club Cup, which shows you don't have squad depth.
Facts.
So basically, I've been saying this season is just kind of like a lucky, fluky season for Liverpool because
no. I had your back, man. I had your back, bro. Come on.
Let me make my point. My point is that if you guys are being challenged, which you will be next season, will you guys be able to do it consistently?
Okay, that's a fair question, but scratch that previous statement, man. I was backing you.
You
can't say fluky. You can't say fluky.
No, not fluky, but you know what I mean.
I think
we're going to say, Simon, go on, mate.
Yeah, I think the thing here is like when Man United won the league back, it was quite a few years ago when we won it back in February. We mathematically won it. We'd been given the championship. Fergie still wanted to go on and win it. The point that the other person made a minute ago was when Liverpool went to Man City and they got hammered 4-0. I actually watched that game, and Liverpool didn't look anywhere near what they wanted to do. It's just like, we've won the league, we don't care. You don't do that. When you're champions, you want to win every single game, even up until the end of the championship. And this is why I don't think Liverpool will compete next. They'll compete next season, but I don't think they'll win it. I think Man City. I'm with Monster CFC. I think City will win it next year.
Wait, Terry,
can
speak for a second. Sorry.
I really.
If you say Tottenham are going to win it, you're getting
no.
banned.
I'm not going to say Tottenham. Look, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say Tottenham, but I don't support Liverpool that often, but I've got to back them here. I'm sorry. You can't tell me because they lost to Man City 4-0 a couple of days after they won the league that proves they can't challenge next season.
It's not the fact that they lost.
I never said that they couldn't challenge.
It's the way that they lost.
I'm talking to Prime.
It's not necessarily the scoreline. It's the way that they lost. It's the way
they created chances though. Salah hit the post. They cleared off the line. They created chances.
Okay, but those chances didn't go in.
Yeah, but you can't. But you just said to me they played that bad enough that they can't challenge next season.
I'm not saying they won't challenge. I said they won't win it.
They won't win it. How can you say they won't? How can you just point blank say they won't win it because they lost to Man City?
That's one game.
What Primex is saying.
I
think what Primex is saying is that it may be highlighting that they don't have that mentality to retain a title, which is a difficult thing to do. By the way, it's a very very difficult thing to do to retain a title.
Once you've won the championship,
done 11 times in 80 years.
And by the way, Liverpool have had 2 title-winning seasons. If you look at their form, right?
Yeah.
They've had 2 seasons at a title-winning level. So
You
the
can't do
third
3.
season with that football, with their best players who somehow magically stay fit, like I think
they'll be
basically Liverpool are going to have to overcome challenges they haven't seen yet to win a title next season. I think that's fair. And I don't understand, Ram, why you don't want your front three challenged with another world-class player.
And that's why I'll stand by my point. If Liverpool don't have a good transfer window, I don't think they'll retain the title next year. I just don't. When I thought they were signing Werner, when I thought that they were going to go after Kai Havertz, and I looked at Liverpool going, yeah, they mean business in the sense that they're going to strengthen even further, make themselves even more impenetrable. There was links recently to like bringing Koulibaly. And although I thought that was far-fetched, I was like, can you imagine that? You suddenly create the Koulibaly Van Dijk connection, whatever it may be. Liverpool need to sign 2 or 3 top players who either improve their first team, equally give themselves a bit of a plan B, because I think one area that's being looked at is when teams play 4-4-1-1 and they stop the fullbacks going forward, they've struggled. They've struggled in those games. So there's an element of, okay, maybe Thiago's the guy to be more creative in the middle. Now, I know he sits in a deeper line role, but he'll be able to play balls into the half spaces that Firmino and definitely Jordan Henderson can't do. But it's about buying, because for me, can City sign players if they get banned?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
If they get banned, City's going to go one or two ways. They're going to either it's going to motivate Pep, and he's going to spend big, and he's going to have one game a week, which is going to make City an absolute animal to be able to beat.
They're going to spend money regardless, man.
Terry, can you highlight what Machinarium said?
Oh, this guy's been going off in the comments, man. It's been entertaining.
He's not right. He's not wrong, is he? He's not wrong, is he?
All right. So what was wrong with what I said?
No, you should have said the fluke thing. You should have said the fluke comment, man. As soon as you said fluke,
so salty and bitter, man.
Yeah, but he clearly didn't listen to everything I said. Then, if he only
this guy's cool, but he'll never actually point out what you've said that's wrong. He's insulting you. As soon as somebody insults you, what you said resonated.
He supports
Liverpool. Oh, okay. No wonder then. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, literally, I've been seeing my guy in the comments here. He has not been giving any opinions of himself. He's just been making fun of people. I'm thinking, put your opinions in there,
Terry,
bro.
I've got to go. Thanks for having me on, bro.
All right, mate. Take care, bro. Take care, mate.
Yeah, so if Firmino carries on playing next season.
Wait, one sec. I just think so. City will do that. And then you've got Chelsea and Man United. If they have the transfer windows they need, so we know with Chelsea that they're doing it up front. They get that left back and centre back as well. Maybe the goalkeeper, maybe a goalie and a left back, whatever it may be. I think they can challenge. And again, if United get those signings that bring the squad together, I just feel that next season, I still make Liverpool favourites, by the way.
I don't either.
No, I don't either. If they have Firmino up front, I'm sorry.
Hang on.
No. Allow this Firmino slander. I've had enough.
Stop. Didn't a minute ago, Elite Opinion, did you just said you were backing Liverpool? Now you're saying...
No. He said they can't win the league. I didn't say I said they can win the league. I'm not making them favourite. That's my point.
Anyway,
I think the problem with Liverpool is
Prime said they won't win the league. I said they can win the league. He's saying they won't win the league. I'm saying there's a possibility they can win the league. But I'm saying they're my favourites.
I don't think they will. So what's the difference between what we're saying? You're saying that they can, but you're saying they can. You didn't say they will. I'm saying that they won't. It'll be Man City.
You're definitely saying they won't win the league. I say they can win the league. You're saying it's absolute no chance they'll win the league.
Okay, I'm not saying they won't challenge though, but they won't win the league. How is that different from what Monster CFC said?
But I don't care what Monster CFC said. I'm talking to you. I'm saying to you. You said they won't win the league.
But boys, this is a pointless back and forth because it's dead. Simon with the great beard was about to actually say something.
I think the thing here with what Ram said is that he doesn't want somebody to come in and challenge Salah, Firmino, and Mane. That's a defeatist attitude straight away. You want people to come in and challenge those three straight away, like Man United did when we won the treble in 99, 2000. Sorry, when we had Cole, York, we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we had Teddy Sheringham. Those four players pushed each other all the way. You need squad depth. Liverpool do not have it. I would take the front three of Man United over the front three of Liverpool because of the because of the depth that we've got. We can bring in N'Gala. We can change games.
Oh, come
with
on.
N'Gala.
Do not bring in N'Gala. If you're going to bring in N'Gala, I'll bring in Origi, bro. Origi's done much.
The only reason why I agree somehow with Simon is I'll only take Man United's front line because of the age, but otherwise, come on.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they're better. At the moment, you can't. The front three of Man United are the best in the league at this moment after the break.
Yeah,
before that, it was definitely the front three of Liverpool. Yeah. But the defeatist attitude for me was when Liverpool didn't go for Werner. I know Man United didn't go for him either. Chelsea have got a steal right there straight away. You know,
that might be a financial
line. Where Simon's largely right in what he's saying there is next season, and this is what we're talking about, is next season. When Chelsea, and this is why we don't know what City are going to do yet, and it's why I'm throwing Chelsea and United into the mix if they fix the other areas, which they're capable of doing, they've got the money to do. You look at the front, Chelsea's array of talent when it's going to be Werner, Ziyech, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Kai Havertz, Abrahams and Mount. That is sickeningly good. Man United, if they sign the right, if we bring in Sancho, you've suddenly got Sancho, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, Igalo from the bench as an example, and then you've got propping that up is Bruno and Paul Pogba from an attacking midfield point of view, and maybe Jack Grealish. You suddenly look at that. That is superior from an attacking unit to what Liverpool have right now. And my point is, if Liverpool buy, cool. If they don't, and they've got the same front three, who are the best front three in the world, by the way, in my opinion, scratch beneath that, and it's threadbare. And what will happen is that's where the psychological element of the game comes in, because suddenly then it's everybody else around you's got a little bit more. Fans become a bit jittery. You suddenly watch some Liverpool fans start to turn on. I know a lot of no one will turn on Firmino. He's a defensive striker. We all know that. Trust me. When Firmino's walking in with 8 goals and Werner, who you should have signed, is on 23 goals and whatnot, you'll start to see it. And if you're not top and clear by a long way, a lot of Liverpool fans will start to get jittery. It's just the nature of the beast. And do you know how I know that? Because every other fan base in exactly the same position acts in exactly the same way. Do you know why we all act the same? Because we're all goddamn human beings and we're all the same.
Let me add something here, boys. Let me add something here. You guys are probably gonna laugh here, but I'm doing this for the content. What if Arsenal do a madness and get Partey, get whoever, yeah? What if Arsenal do a madness with Arteta? What we say? What are going with Arsenal? Top 4? Title?
I'm very surprised how
The only thing at Arsenal is I don't trust that board to back Arteta.
No, I don't.
I don't trust that board to back Arteta. So.
And including COVID as well. Do you think they're going to spend a lot of money with them cheapskates?
Yeah, they're in the same. They're in the same.
They're finishing mid-table.
Wait,
hasn't it already come out that Arteta's got to sell 3 players to try and get Partey already, and hasn't he got a lowish buyout? Is it like 40? Is it like 47 million or something like that he's got a buyout clause?
Well, that's what surprises me about Partey. Why is no one else going for him? And I heard recently that Atletico they're actually trying to get him out the door because he refuses to sign a new contract. So
I'm surprised. I think United should go in for it. I think United should go in for him. I really do. We need a CDM. We need a CDM, and Partey is absolutely fantastic at that. I mean, 47 million. I mean, Grealish is probably going to cost what? Villa are going down. We've seen that. I think he's going to cost us more than that. I think he's going to be. Yeah, I think he's going to be between 40 and 50.
He's no way going to be the record transfer for a player coming from from relegation. There's no way. They can't.
That's the problem because
that's the problem though. Villa don't have to sell him because Villa have got the money. The investors that they've got.
Villa have got some holes in their finances. If they go down, if they stay up, it'll be more expensive. But interestingly, on that, just for like hypothetical purposes. Thomas Partey surrounded by Bruno and Pogba. That is the best midfield in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow. No, but I don't really look at Thomas Partey as a really holding midfielder. I look at him more as a box-to-box.
Yeah.
Which is what he's a whole United.
No. He's a holding midfielder in Atletico Madrid's system. He's not really a natural holding midfielder. He's not like a Nemanja Matic where he's very where he just sits there. He likes to dribble with the ball. He likes to go forward and have shots. He's not really just someone who sits. He sits in Atletico Madrid system because that's the way they play.
Yeah, but that shows
you look at it though. Grealish is that kind of player though. Grealish is a box-to-box player. He's an attacker, but he's also part of a CDM. I understand what you're saying about Matic. Matic is a fantastic, just sitting there doing his job, but he slows the play down sometimes. You know, when you want to play quick, he does slow the play down because he takes 1-2 touches. They've got back into position. I'll just pass it back. You know, where Grealish and Partey, they get the ball, they've got the heads up, they already know where the ball's going to go. And that is what we missed. And that is why getting Bruno in January was paramount for United, because we never had a player. He's kind of like a Paul Scholes. He knows where the ball's going to go straight away. He's already looked before he's got the ball at his feet, and the ball's already out of his feet before it doesn't look like he's got the ball. The ball's just come and it's gone. You know, he sees those passes straight away, and that is what United are getting used to now. That's why Greenwood, Martial, and Rashford.
One final point before we end the show. Thank you for that, Simon. Who's finishing higher next year? Chelsea or Manchester United?
United.
Chelsea.
Man United. Chelsea.
Honestly, it depends on how the other competitions
Chelsea.
go. Depends on how United do in the Champions League, FA Cup, and the Carabao.
I hate to admit, but I think Chelsea. I think Chelsea at the moment, they've made the better signings. You can't, with the board that Man United have got, with the Glaziers, you can't guarantee that we're going to go out and get Sancho.
But here's the thing about Chelsea's signings, though. Everyone's raving about them, which they are good, yeah. But people, wait. I'm not done. But people are acting like they're going to come in and it's automatically boom, kill the league. You got to remember, Pulisic came in from Germany, only just now starting to kind of inform.
Yeah, but that could be the same with Sancho.
Wait, bro, wait. Ziyech, yeah, he's coming from the Eredivisie. He's going to need time to acclimatize. So is Kai Havertz going to need time to acclimatize. And then Werner, again, all need time to acclimatize. There's 4 players who also never played together ever at all. So that's why I'm saying they might not be above United, because I feel like those guys all together will need time in the early part of the season.
But also, what people don't know,
you look at the
right now,
as well.
Right now,
for them.
Right now, the Werner and what people don't know, Werner and Ziyech are literally training right now at Cobham. They are already training with a squad.
Yeah, that's training and actually playing match games are 2 different things. They're 2 different things. I know people saying so is Sancho, but that's one person out of a front 4 that have already, like Martial, Greenwood, Rashford, have already played in the Prem for a good amount of time with each other. Adding one player is easier than adding 4 completely new players to the league.
And also, Chelsea fans are saying that we should also sign a left back, which we do need, but they're also saying a centre back and a goalkeeper. What is that now? That's 5-6 players to come in. That's basically a whole new core coming in to adapt to the Premier League.
Yeah.
That's going to affect everything next season for us.
I do think Chelsea need a midfield.
Man City did the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man City, Pep's second season brought in Kyle Walker, who had already adapted to the Prem.
And Mendy.
He basically got injured after the first 2 games.
They brought in a couple of midfielders as well.
He brought in Ederson.
They brought in Ederson, but that's it really.
That is a midfielder. That's a midfielder in goal.
They brought in what? 3 players.
They bought quite a few players that season. I can't remember every single
Merrick
one.
Laporte was bought in January, but that was his covered company.
First season, he brought in Leroy Sané and what's his name? Ilkay Gundogan.
Yeah.
So he already done it beforehand.
I think the 3 signings United need is Sancho, Partey, or Grealish, and then I honestly do think we need a centre back. I think we need somebody that's got a bit of pace, because Maguire hasn't got the pace. Lindelof is pacey-ish, but he just doesn't seem to read the game very well. I think we need a commanding centre-back that's got pace, like a Koulibaly. I think we need somebody...
Do you think if Bailey stay fit, he could be the partner with Maguire?
I think Bailey's good, but he makes too many rash decisions.
And very injury prone.
Yeah, he is very...
He injures himself because he's so...
Trying to tackle.
Yeah, it's mad.
I've got a question for United fans. What do you think about Chris Smalling partnering with Maguire? Seriously.
Seriously, no.
Just because he's got the recovery pace and defensively he's good, but the way we play, the way we passing out the back, Lindelof is driving forward and making some really good players into the midfield and the forward line. Chris Smalling ain't doing that, and he just doesn't suit the way Ollie wants to play. That's why he left in the first place.
Yeah,
because he wanted game time.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
He's good for the Italian league, Chris Smalling, and I think we need to sell him to Roma. I think he needs to stay there for his ability, where we need to bring in a baller at centre back, somebody with pace but commanding at the same time, which is Koulibaly.
That's hard to find. There's only one.
I think it is Koulibaly. It's whether we can sign Koulibaly, Sancho, and Grealish or Partey in one window.
Nah.
I don't think we can do it. I don't think we can do it.
But also,
personally, I would get up on Meccano.
Quick question, Terry. Yeah, can I ask you? Yeah, do you think as what's his name's balling out? Mason Greenwood's balling out. Do you think, knowing the Glazers, they're going to be like, oh, you know what, we've got someone we don't need.
There's two answers to that. I think the Glazers would look to do that because the Glazers are the Glazers. However, it's from fairly reliable sources. Ollie's already told them, don't you start thinking like that. And Ollie's got a lot of power. I think Ollie pretty quickly was like, no. And by the way, that was what happened a lot in the pre-Ollie era after Fergie, where a certain player would look good for a few games and would stop looking. Interestingly, when Ollie thinks it's right to, so there was a lot of talk that we'd stop looking for a top-level left-back replacement because they feel like Williams will be the guy. So rather than dropping... and there's an element of me that thinks, if we're going to sign another left-back, I don't really feel like we need to go out there and drop 70, 80 million on a left-back, like a top left-back when we've got Williams coming through. And I'm going to trust Ollie's kind of judgment in relation to that. I mean, the likes of Trent are such, and even AWB are rare. To be that young and be that competent in those defensive roles is actually trained. No, I still think we'll go for Sancho. I still think Sancho is going to happen.
Personally, I think there's too much peas in the Sancho deal in terms of when United signed Sancho, the shirt deals, the marketing. You can do the English. You can do the English Glory Boys, whatever you want to do with Martial, Greenwood. There's too much money to get back from the Sancho deal for them to be like, nah, I'm not doing it. That's what I'm thinking.
Terry. Guys, quickly. I think we can now all agree the worst number 9 in the top 6 is Firmino by now. We can all agree.
Firmino goals, bro.
I've got a question for you guys here. And this is going to be a big one now. With the way that the system that Ollie plays, do you think Depay would have thrived in the way this system's playing now?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he would have been. I think he still would have. I think he was too young to join United. Honestly.
Yeah, but no, we're saying like if he was in the system, current system, he would. Memphis would be balling.
Where would he play? Where would he play?
The way we play, it's not like a fixed thing. We have a fluid front three, so you can start him out on the right or the left, or even down the middle, because he does that for his national team. It don't matter because the way he plays, he likes to float, he likes to switch wings, he likes to do everything. And the way he plays,
he needs a system. He can't deal with freestyle football. He needs a system.
But that's the system, though.
There is no freestyle football at Man
United. Terry, on your question about people that are gonna we should sign for like to play in the wings, the kind of players that I would love Liverpool to sign is players such as like Kingsley Coman, those type of level of players who have so much quality about them, but they're just that level underneath the Mane and the Salah, but they can push if they have a good run.
Kingsley Coman's injury prone.
That's someone like Kingsley Coman who has that ability.
But this is where Liverpool... Are you going to feel disappointed as a Liverpool fan that Jurgen Klopp's lied to you? If you bring in a Bay or somebody for 50, 60 million who's more expensive than Timo Werner, it's like, you told us you had no money. Why you lied to us? Are you going to be disappointed in your manager for lying to you?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, why would you
publicly come out and say I'm disappointed in you, Jurgen, because you lied to my face, bruv?
Yeah, man, we believed you, bro. Why did you lie to us, man? Like, if that
I bet you were like, oh, thank you for bringing us a new signing. Don't care, you lied. Honestly, you're so submissive. You're like that guy who's missed the cheeks every weekend, but he's like, it's okay, babe. I'll make you breakfast in bed. You know what's that? What's that stain?
Nah, we just want truth, innit? We just want the truth, innit? I don't care. I don't care if you just say, "Oh, we don't have enough."
Yo,
money.
okay, but Ram, on a serious, yeah, if you guys signed a top striker, yeah, Firmino has to be dropped.
Yes, drop him now.
Cam.
Honestly, drop him.
Why?
Oh, shut up, Ali. Drop him.
Why?
He's so dead. He's so dead.
He fits their system.
He's such a disgrace to Brazilian national team. Like, how can you be Brazilian and play like that?
Go tell that to Kaká, bro.
Hey,
No,
Ram,
but
Go
look
listen
at
to what Kaká
this,
said, yeah?
Look
Go
at this.
listen to what Kaká said.
Ram, do you know what should really annoy you? The fact that you could have brought in Werner and changed up your system and improved
That's
it.
what I was annoyed about. That's why I was annoyed about, because we could have played like a 4-4.
Because that's what United were doing like every 2 or 3.
But people shouldn't get
Bringing
it.
players to
Work
improve
for them,
that.
man.
There we go. But listen, boys, I appreciate you all coming on. Thank you very, very much. Been an hour and a half live stream. Everyone in the comments, thank you. Please hit the like button, retweet button, share buttons. And we'll chat to you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
We're winning Europa League next season. We're winning Europa League next season.
Oh.